Hi guys! So today I'm going to be showing you how to defeat Megan in the forest without taking any damage. First, we're going to collect all of the supplies you need to do so. The items you're going to need are a bow with a full stack of arrows, hairspray, the flare gun and a full stack of flares, the flintlock pistol, the rebreather, some extra oxygen tanks, the keycard, extra dynamite, the climbing axe, full armor, a full stack of backup armor, a full stack of snacks, a full stack of drinks, and if you want, a stack of medicine, but I'm going to show you how to do this without needing any medicine. I also like taking a weaker weapon like an upgraded spear or a club to kill the inconvenient but not necessarily dangerous monsters like the babies or the lone cannibals. That way you don't waste the good weapons on small things. If you already have all of these things, you can go ahead and skip to 2016 to see how I kill Megan without taking any damage. If you have the items but don't know how to get to the bottom of the sinkhole, you can skip to 1220. And I pretty much walk you through it and everything waiting for you down there. Let's start with the most important ones, which are going to be the weapons we want hotkeyed for the battle, and the rest of the supplies are pretty much picked up along the way. The first weapon we're going to make, which is a bow and arrows, can be crafted almost immediately, depending on where your plane lands. If you're lucky enough to land near a cannibal camp, you can loot for rope, which almost all camps have hanging in the huts. But if you didn't land luckily, the best place to go for rope is the Yacht, since you'll also find some other supplies there which you'll need later on. First, go ahead and loot all of the suitcases and then follow the direction the sun is in to eventually reach the beach, where the yacht won't be hard to miss. If you end up near a big anchor, you're not far from the yacht and just need to head west or left. There is a shark near the yacht, so if you want to avoid getting bitten at all costs, you can create a raft, but personally I've found that doing this takes too long, especially in a well-patrolled area where cannibals are almost always in groups. And it's pretty pointless as the sharks in this game aren't too bad. I usually just wait until I have full stamina and make a quick swim to the yacht, and I've never gotten bitten. But if you want to make it even easier on yourself, you can always turn the ocean settings on flat, and it makes the water much clearer to see through when making your way over. Now that we're in the yacht, we can find rope on the top and the supplies inside. You're going to want to take all of the snacks and the tanks of oxygen, and I also usually like to save around this point. With the rope, cloth, and sticks we got earlier, we can successfully make a bow, and I also like to hang out around the beach for a few hours so I can fill up on feathers, since the sand makes it easier to see where the birds are. The easiest way to kill birds is with small rocks. Now, there is a modern bow in the game that you can acquire, but in my experience, it's worse than a regular bow as they don't have much power difference and the modern bow takes much longer to reload. Now that we're full on arrows, we can make our way over to the main cannibal camp to get the hairspray and some dynamite. The hairspray being our next weapon we need a hotkey, and the dynamite being an overall need in various places throughout the game. The main camp is an easy find from the yacht. All you have to do is follow the coast until you get to the abandoned lone cannibal hut, and then from there follow a straight line and the camp will be incredibly easy to spot. Since we're very early game, it should be relatively easy to loot this camp, so you should, unless it's starting to get dark, in which the cave would be your safest bet. When you loot the camp, make sure you pick up dynamite, flares, and as much soda and snacks as you can carry. Unfortunately, we can never carry enough dynamite, so I would recommend picking up watches, circuit boards, alcohol, coins, and electrical tape every chance you get so that you can make bombs. Watches are often found on the hanging bodies in caves, but can be found on a few effigies as well. Circuit boards are more strewn throughout some caves, but the most reliable place for them is in the shipping container area, which is right downstream from where the anchor is. Alcohol is pretty much everywhere, especially in suitcases. Coins are easily collected from beaches by poking your spear into the sand, and a reliable spawn for electrical tape is on the part of the beach with the anchor sat on top of a sleeping bag. After we loot, we can go ahead and enter the cave, which will be an obvious find as it has a bunch of skulls stacked right next to it. This is also the cave you're put in once you die, so if you want a shortcut there, you could always just jump off a cliff at the yacht and you're there immediately. Now, if you want to brighten the cave for yourself so it's easy to navigate and see enemies, all you have to do is go to the main menu after saving, type developer mode on all in one word and press enter, and if you hit F1 and this little bar shows up, you did it right. Then once you load back into your save, just hit F1 again to make it reappear and type cave light on, just like that, and it lights the caves up enough to pretty much see everything. I wouldn't do this if you enjoy the horror and realism aspect of the game though, as that'll definitely take away from your experience. I do it because I'm directionally challenged enough without having the entire screen dark for me. Now, right in the corner of the main room, you'll find the hairspray, and if you go further into the cave, you'll find even more dynamite and the modern axe. It's pretty easy to fill up with armor since you have to fight a ton of things, so don't worry if on the way you use up plenty of your armor, as you'll always get more. If you do still want to conserve as much as possible though, the easiest way to kill mutants and cannibals is just having a good sense of what's around you and how to take advantage of your environment to create death traps for these creatures. For cannibals, the easiest way to defeat them is hop onto any large rock, make sure they cannot follow you up, and then shooting at them with your bow and arrow until they all die. For mutants, they're large enough to be stuck on most doorways of the cave, so you aggro them and lure them to get stuck on an entrance where you can safely shoot at them until they die. If there's deep water around, some cannibals and mutants are also stupid enough to drown themselves, and even if they don't, most times you can plant yourself either on a rock in the water or on the other side of the water and shoot at them from the distance. Doing that is easiest with mutants since they're a large target, so you're more likely to get every shot on them even if you're terrible at aiming, just like me. Now you just have the Rebreather, the climbing axe, the keycard, the gun, and the flare gun to acquire. The gun parts are scattered throughout the island, so we can pick those up on our way to the other parts. We're going to head immediately towards the Rebreather, which is in Cave 5, the submerged cave. The first location for the pistol is going to be right behind us along the line of the coast. You just have to blow it up with dynamite. Then we continue back to the yacht and we beeline at an angle through the woods to find the second location, which is in a hut in a small cannibal camp. Some people are going to be able to find it off of the first location, but for me, it's always been easier this way. Next, we run back to the yacht and we're going to see a huge tree called the Joshua tree up on the hill. Our third location for the gun parts will be right behind it. Now we're getting close to Cave 5. This one is a little bit hard to see, but if you come to the anchor, you should be able to run just slightly slanted into the forest and you'll come to a little clearing with a bunch of boulders. This is the entrance to Cave 5. It isn't too hard, just 3 cannibals, and then you'll eventually come to it along with some extra oxygen tanks to pick up. After we get out of here, we're going to head straight to the Keycard, which is in the Lawyer's Cave, or Cave 6. We can continue on and come to the shipping containers. You'll see a huge stack of boulders, and that'll be our entrance to the cave. This cave isn't too dangerous, but you are going to want at least 2 bombs, since you'll encounter one armsy at the bottom of a cliff, making it easy to just blow it up. Blowing it up does make the body unusable though, so if you'd like to get some of that creepy armor, what I like to do is toss 1 bomb down to injure it and then shoot arrows at it until it's dead. Once you have that key card, we come out of the cave and we can swim in the ocean towards the first set of islands near this beach. This will be our 4th location for the gun parts. After that, we can start to make our way towards the climbing axe, located in the ledge cave, which is right next to the sinkhole. The sinkhole is an easy find. We just have to go back to the cave we just entered, and from there run in a straight line until we find a lake right in front of us. This is Geese Lake and our 5th location for gun parts. You should see it hidden in the woods while standing on the highest point of the boulders surrounding the lake. After we collect our items from there, we go around the lake and come to the sinkhole. The entrance for this cave is right along the rim out in the open and next to one of the gray tents. Very hard to miss. This cave is a little harder, but not too bad, just 3 or 4 cannibals and some babies, and then we get our climbing axe. After we come back up, we go back to the beach and begin making our way towards the flare gun. All we do is run straight down the beach towards the curve and some cannibal beach huts, and we will find our 6th location for the gun parts. Once we grab those, we can travel up the hills near it and find our 7th location for the pistol. And now we only have one more location for the pistol and the flare gun to find, and we can begin our descent into the sinkhole to defeat Megan. Both of these are going to be in the cold biome, so before going in, make sure you combine a stick and a cloth to create a torch and carry it with to keep yourself warm throughout this trip. I used to think that you needed the warm suit to go into the cold biome because that's what I read everywhere, but this works just as well and requires a lot less materials. So from here, we're just going to run up the mountain and go east or right until we find it right in front of us. The flare gun will be inside of the plane, easy to spot since it's bright red, and now we officially have all things needed. Before we go into Cave 7, which is known as Chasm Cave, I'll show you how to hotkey everything to make it easiest on you. First, we click on our backpack, and the first thing we'll hotkey is the bow. The second thing is the hairspray. The third is the flare gun. And the last one is the pistol. Now, finding the entrance to Cave 7 is easiest for me by going all the way back down to the beach, heading straight towards the beginning of the bend, and heading from there slanted forward until you come to a slide-through entrance in the middle of a hill. This cave isn't the easiest to traverse as it's the last one you're meant to go through in the game, but you can get through it by using the tips I gave at the beginning of the video and just having patience. It also has a lot of resting places and save opportunities, so it really isn't too bad of a cave, just a long one. You'll run into 1 armsy and 2 cannibals at the bottom of a cliff first off, and you're going to want to kill the armsy first before heading down. You can do this by throwing a bomb down and injuring the armsy and then shooting him until he dies, and then just jump down and kill the other 2 cannibals. After that, you'll run into 2 cannibals and a few little babies. Once we chop them up and cover ourselves in their bones, we can continue until we come to another 2 cannibals, which will be our last group of easy enemies for a while. Once we come to this barricade, I like to get up on this rock because I've noticed cannibals can't get on it, and I just shoot the first 2 cannibals and hop down to kill the 3rd. After this, we have a room we can go into, which is going to have 1 Virginia, 1 spider, and 2 cannibals. This seems scary, but it's not bad. All you have to do is tease the mutants towards the entrance that had the barricade, and they'll get stuck on the rock, and then you can kill them both by arrows. And the 2 cannibals are easy as well. You can go down this big pole right here. Get the modern bow along with refilling your arrows if you've lost any, but the main way to go is through this barricade where you'll come upon 2 more cannibals and slice through them. Now behind this rock wall will be an armsy, and they pretty much bust through the door if you stand here for long enough, but you can also blow it up with some dynamite if they don't. The armsy will be able to swing at you through a good distance of the door frame, but if you just find exactly where to stand, it won't be able to reach you and you can kill it like that. Once we finish that one off, we have another armsy waiting in the main room for us, so what I like to do is just jump up from there, attract it down towards where we killed our last armsy, and finish him off in the same way right next to his brother. Once we open this door, we have 3 cannibals waiting for us, so I do the exact same thing as the armsies. Now we come to the door to probably the most dangerous area in the forest, the bottom of the sinkhole. In here, there are 2 cowmen, 3 cannibals, and 1 armsy. What I like to do is open up the door and take a peek at what I'll walk into. Sometimes the enemies will be right outside the door already raging, sometimes I haven't even seen them until I round the corner. Either way, just remember the tips I gave, and the 3 cannibals and 1 or 2 armsies will be an easy kill. You can use the environment around you to your advantage by luring everything into the water and drowning it, but keep in mind this method makes using them for armor near impossible. Another way you can use the environment to your advantage is shooting at everything from a distance on the boulders. Just make sure you plant yourself on a very tall boulder to avoid the mutants being able to still reach you. Now that we've finished them, we can enter the long underwater tunnel into our last cave system for a while. You'll enter into a big room with 3 strong cannibals, which you can get through just by continuing to run and fighting them one by one. And then you'll come to the lab door right at the end of this hall. There's 1 mutant, about 3 cannibals, and a few babies in between you and Megan, which isn't too bad as they're very spread out throughout the lab. Now we get what we came here for. Go ahead and make sure you have everything you need. A full stack of backup armor, a full set of armor on you, food, drinks, and all of your weapons hotkeyed, and go ahead and start the battle. I'd recommend pulling out your weapon first thing before activating her, but if you don't, that's fine, because this first step is just going to be about running away. Make sure you're in a direct line with the sliding door entrance before activating her, and once you do, just start running backwards while trying to get some hits in with the bow and arrow. I prefer to use my bow and arrow while I do this part because it's easy to have a lot of arrows, and this first part is a bit harder since Megan is full health. Once you reach the doors, Megan will have followed you straight to the entrance and you can begin hitting her relatively safely. Her arms are able to swing through the walls and hit you, sometimes even giving a full force attack where she knocks you to the ground, but you'll be a lot safer than if you were in the room with her. After I give her a good amount of shots with my bow and arrow, she'll run away and plant a bunch of babies on the ground and then spend a long time walking around the back for some reason. It gives you a lot of time to grab your spear out from your inventory and kill the babies she just put in your way. Even though the babies are never a big hassle, I like to kill them because I'd rather not be running away from Megan just to be bombarded by a bunch of bloodthirsty babies that give you unnecessary damage. I usually am able to kill all of the babies she plants before she comes charging towards me again, and this second time I like to switch to my hairspray. Make sure to light the hairspray before she's right up on you, as this interaction takes a second to happen, but it will light her on fire. I run back while she's angrily lit to avoid any hits and wait for her to finish being burned so I can go light her again, which I do until the hairspray runs out and the character just tosses it aside. Next, we do the flare gun. The flare gun is relatively easy and one of the best tools, so that's why it's the best after she's been about halfway hurt, because she does seem a bit slower and weaker the more hurt she gets, so this ensures every shot hits her, as we don't have many flares. You keep up with the taunting and teasing her back into the door frame where you can hit her safely. It is time to keep her lured towards the door for the last few hits with the gun. I honestly hate the gun because it's hard for me to even tell what I'm hitting and where, but if you just keep pointing it towards her, you should get a good amount of shots in, and this should be her final weapon needed. If you use all of the gun ammo and she isn't dead yet, you should still have arrows left, so just hitting her with a few should do the trick. Once she falls, congratulations, you've just defeated the hardest boss in the game without a single hit to your health. I hope this video helps you, and I want to mention that I got the door tip from Zara, a great and funny YouTuber who makes videos on games just like this, so you should go check out his channel if you enjoyed this video. Thank you, ducklings, and have a great day!